Hi, this is Haley, and this is my approach on play, and this is Vargas Kian's approach on play by me. So, my first slide is just going into the benefits, like, what are the benefits of play? Well, the first one is effective and emotional. So for examples, like for this benefit of play, it's the students are exploring feelings while they're playing. So like if, like they're going to be sad during their playing, and they'll actually gain confidence while doing this because of the interactions they have with like other kids. They're going to gain confidence with like how they're playing and what they're doing and how they speak and how they act. For the cognitive benefit of play, age development, so that's like health developments, and just it's going to help work your brain, and it's going to make them start doing critical thinking, like, okay, if I'm playing house, how can I like do that? So it starts getting their brain and their motors going when they're playing. Another benefit of play is social. So just they're gonna experience the norms of playing and self-regulation, and they're gonna interact with other kids, which is really great. Why is it important for children to play? So personally, I think it builds imagination and creativity, and that is something that is truly essential because they need to do that in their brain. They need to imagine like, they're on a unicorn or something, because it truly helps develop the brain. The second point is the play, like the cognitive growth. Like when they play, they're obviously going to grow, and as they get older, their cognitive level grows even as they play. So that's just a big important role for the students. Another thing is like behavioral benefits. Like they will learn while they're playing, like, hey, it's not okay to push your friend down the slide. So that's a definite behavioral benefit that you have to have when teaching kids how to play. It also helps with literacy and how they can speak and read, or you know what I mean. Like they just speak better now because they're playing and interacting with other students. So an example of Vargas theory on play is that it provides an example, and it's kind of like pointing a finger initially, and at first when you do it, it's pretty meaningless. Like if I just pointed it right here, this would be really meaningless. However, if I pointed at someone else and it was just a meaningless thing, people react to the gesture as like, oh, I'm meaning like, hey, that's that person, and the gesture is like creating a connection in between two people because I'm pointing at them and they think I'm pointing at something meaningful. So that's kind of like his theory on play as an example. The principles of Wolfgang's theory on play. So the cognitive development is limited to like a certain range, and you have to understand that with this certain range, it can be very limited, and you only have like a given time to get that development. Is kind of how I explain it, is that it is, for some people, that cognitive development is limited, and it will go to a certain range at any given time. So for example, like kindergartners, some kindergartners can sprout from like stage 4 from 3 easily within like 2 days, but then they can be stuck on 4, like stage 4 to stage 5 for like 2 weeks. And that's kind of how I understood that. Full cognitive development requires social interaction. So like obviously that makes sense in the theory of on the play, is because like how are you supposed to cognitively develop if you don't have social interaction when you're playing on a playground? if you are just playing all by yourself, you're going to stay in that special norm and you're not going to develop. And it kind of goes with theory 1 as well, and it kind of supports it, is like it's limited to a certain range. So let's just say step 1 was, oh, I'm okay with playing by myself and playing in my own little world, but now stage 5 is I'm playing with people and we're having discussions and we're playing together. And I think that's a kind of like how it goes, but it is a huge cognitive development requirement because social interaction is obviously a big role on play, and it helps you with just your speech and understanding that there's other people in the world, and it kind of just works out in general. Just like on page, I think, yeah, page 2, it talks about how like when you play with people, it helps develop your literacy. So that's how I would explain that. So the next one is the approach on play, and that is to be believed that the origins of creativity and imagination, like, kind of situated with playing in children's play. That's how people talk about creativity and imagination. They think about children's play and how they play. Now they understood it as a creative act that like reconstructs and transforms like an entire human experience, and it like can produce new realities. Like, for example, I remember as a kid, whenever my sister and I went to Disneyland, the pool was an ocean and we were mermaids. So that's kind of how he explains it, is when you're doing this, your creativity and your imagination can literally take you into new realities, and it can work your brain in that sort of way. So my last slide is the structural theory on cognitive development, and this is kind of the graph I would suggest it, and it's the certain zones. So like the outer rim is I can't do these even with help, and that's like I can't talk about that cognitively or literacy and play in that way even with help. And then like when they are playing, like, yeah, I can do some of these activities and things with some help, but then the green is obviously where you want to be, where you can say I can do this all by myself, and that's how you know you're okay. So that's how the structural theory is put out from the cognitive development. And here are my resources. Thank you.